Hi there, here we have yet another endgame of mine which was played on Leeches last night. This is a 5-minute game and it got quite interesting. I also played 3 other lightning games last night where my friend was watching and they went quite well for me. I even lost a bishop with dropping a bishop on g5 instead of f4 where it was meant to go. Whether anyone believes me or not is another story. So anyway, I duly won that game, which is I am quite pleased about, because I should really lose when I'm a piece down against an opponent who's rated higher than me. So somehow I seem to have pulled that out of the bag. But anyway, here we have this position here, yet another endgame that is occurring, where we're just about going to swap off the rooks for white and rooks for black. So here we go. First of all, queen e4, just to clarify the position. Here I want to take with the f pawn, because if I take with the queen, of course, then black will play queen d4 check and win a pawn for me, which I don't really want. My opponent is 20-40 sort of thing rated. So here we go. Let's continue here with the next move, which was gf3. Now, if we consider this position, it's probably black that's doing better, just because of one, the pawn formation. I've got 4 sorts of sets of pawns, where I've got the a2 and the b2 pawn, and I have the d4 and the f3 pawn, which is separated and isolated, as also is the h pawn. Whereas black has a little bit better pawn formation, and if we look at this bishop here, then this bishop can attack this pawn, where I have to labour myself dealing with protection of same, which can be a problem in the endgame, and can be and usually is. So that in mind, I have to try to hold the steadiness of this position for white, because I'm white. So black was, I'm basically saying black's probably in a 1 position or doing better. We have queen d5, and we have, sorry, I want to also say black's probably in a better position, because this bishop of black is better than this bishop of mine of white's. Queen d5, now white has offered a queen swap, and then I think it would be rather better for black, just because of that bishop being better. That this pawn is on d4 isolated, whereas this pawn would be on d5. This pawn would be on d5 for black, but it's better because the bishop is freer to move around the board than my one, which is a bit encumbered by the d4 pawn. So I chose not to take on d5, where it would make my opponent's pawn on d5 a bit better than the pawn on e6. For one thing, it's further up the soccer field and that sort of thing. Anyway, so excuse me. Now I'll just have a slocky of coffee, and I want to say, how can we win this if we're going to win this, or how can we draw this if we're going to draw this, or how can we lose this? Well, we can lose it very simply. We can just go queen e6 check here, and queen takes queen, and we can lose that very easily. But to draw it, how do we draw it? And remember that this is 5-minute chess. So I here play a protective move, b3. And I'm thinking, well, I was thinking, and I was saying to my friend last night, I sort of gather that black's trying to win this position. So I actually feel like black's trying to win this position. So because I think that, doesn't mean it's true, but I think that black's trying to win this position. So my opponent's going to be trying to win, and probably fair enough with the pawn on d4, where black can at least attack it, and where I will have to defend it. So it will be better for black to be the aggressor rather than the defender. But we should be able to hold this for white, really. But because I know that my opponent, I feel, is trying to win with the swap-offs before and that sort of thing, I think, well, we'll just let my opponent, there's that word again, let. I'm not allowed to use that now because I say I don't like that word, let. Oh no, just, that's the word. Anyway, it doesn't matter. B3, and here comes bishop f6, where I'm just saying I have to defend that. Bishop f6, but I do feel that black is trying to win, and that's okay because that's the name of the game, isn't it? Name of the game is to win. If queen takes queen now for black instead of bishop f6, then I end up with maybe a passed pawn in the future, as my two pawns are connected, and that pawn can march to d5, or even e5 and then d5. Bishop e3, a protective move. King f7, one can bring the king into the center, and so I follow suit. However, my opponent has other ideas for my king. So here we have a demonstration of what I just said before, that I feel my opponent is trying to win this position with this move here, queen h5. So this is no good, I think, because I just pick up a pawn with a check. Queen b7, and my opponent got better moves than king g6, probably with bishop e3. I mean bishop e7, sorry. Yeah, I think that here bishop e7 is probably better, but then I just play bishop f4, don't I? It's a little bit tangy, It's a wee bit sort of tangy, this position. We've only got bishop and queen on, of course, and I've just picked up a pawn. My opponent went to g6, so this gave me the opportunity of just bringing my queen back with a check. And now the king goes back to f7, so I probably could take that draw now. Should I take the draw, or should I try to run my... I could probably go queen b7 and queen a7, and thereby I've got another pawn on the queen side for white, and it's pretty cool, isn't it? And then after queen h2, just king to e1, but I don't like it really too much as what I played. I played more protectively with bishop f4 check. No, not bishop f4 check. Bishop f4, queen h4, and now here was a point where I was actually thinking, what next? And I was thinking, should I go king e2? And the reason I don't want to play king e2 is because g5 and my d4 pawn is going to be weak. If I play king e3, then my opponent will probably entertain the idea of queen e1 check and have some checks at least. So I was here at this point thinking, what would I like to play most? And I can't, Nimzovich says you can't get everything in chess, but we can certainly try, can't we? Our prowess, we can certainly try to get everything in chess. And I'm expecting black to play g5 with the pawn g5. But I have just picked up a pawn, so that pawn might be quite handy. And I don't think I play this correctly. My friend and I, my friend was saying that he considers a move coming up as not the best move, and I probably or almost completely agree with him. I played king g2, so I'm a bit more protected here. So it's sort of like I'm going a little bit backwards. If I want to go to the center with my king, I'm sort of going a little bit backwards, really, aren't I? The thing is if I went king e2 here, okay, if I went king e2, then I would probably meet g5. And upon where? Bishop e3, I've got queen h2 to worry about, check, capture on my h2 pawn. And then I have to also think about my bishop d4 pawn. So if king e2, g5, where does the bishop go? Does it go to g3 or e5 or e3? Or do I just go queen b7 check and get a draw and just leave it at that? So I had an idea that with king g2, I'm going to play after g5, I'm going to play, I'm going to play queen b7 check, king g6, king g6. I'm getting the coffee blues. King g6, bishop e5, whereby I'm going to hope to have doubled pawns on e5 if it goes on the e file, preventing the king from entering into these squares here, you see. So that's sort of like my scheming or my planning here in this endgame. Bishop e5 and d e5. Now here comes queen d4, which I think helps me, because if we look at these pawns here now, it's 2 versus 1, isn't it? So after queen d4, I now think, here's my opportunity to get queen swap, get rid of the queen, because otherwise the queen's going to start checking me all over the place probably. Also, black is, of course, threatening queen e5 here or else after, and when the pawns thin out, it's more chances for draw, and now I'm trying to win. I was told by my friend last night that upon the next move, queen e4, fe4, my opponent's king can't get here, of course, because of the pawns, the apexes of the pawns, but I was a little bit concerned about these pawns marching down here, sort of thing, and this king moving here. But he said to me, you don't have to worry about that, because you can just sit by and just plow these pawns down, sort of thing. And that's kind of what happens. g4, now I play the move that he wasn't very impressed with. He said he thinks that b4 here is better, and what's black going to do? And I'm probably inclined to agree with my friend now. as well as last night I was agreeing, but I think that my friend is right. I think I should just start playing b4, a4, b5, a5, a6, b6, a7, a8, sort of thing. But I played king g3. So I think that I don't have to worry. I'm just sitting at home in my cage. I do not have to do anything really about black's pawns on the king side because my pawns are going to be quite quick. And of course, the black king is out of the Grandmaster, Super Grandmaster Nigel Short's outside of the square to prevent pawn promotion at the moment, if my pawn was running, I think. Is that right? Depends whose move it is. No, it's not. So, king g3, that was a bit of ramble. King g5. Here I was thinking of h4, but I went away from that idea. I started playing b4. And so I start playing the plan that I'm trying to win this. And the idea is to just play b5, oh no, I used it, b5, and then pawn right up to a6 if I like, and b6 and a7, or ba7, something like that, where I can have two pawns on the a file, isolated, doubled, isolated pawns, where sometimes they can be quite strong. h5, here comes a4 without further ado. It was played quite quickly, even though we ended up with 2:26 for black on the clock and I was 1:55, so that gives you an idea of how fast we played the moves for 5-minute chess. h4, ouch, I have to react, check, king g2, king f4, b5, king e4, grabbing all my pawns. If this doesn't work, Sparky, I'm lost. King e5. Well, maybe now black is dropping the ball. Maybe black should now go after my b pawn and other. But by playing this, I don't think he can even get back on time. Can he get back on time? King d5, b6. And then we can go king c6. And then white's got a lost game, I think. So the next move is a blunder. So b6, king d5, b6, and then black can just play king c6, you see, and then just pick up the pawns. My pawns are just so vulnerable. And meanwhile, if I ever try to move my king away from this area of the board, then this pawn is just going to do exactly what this pawn does in the actual game, even though my opponent, I thought king e5 to myself was a bit odd for black to play here, or white to meet here, as I would say in the old days, and I still am. I think that here I've just got a lost game. So maybe my friend's idea of playing b4 and a4 is that he said something about he thinks that black could have won, and here I think is the fact of that is black can win now. There's no way after king d5 for me to hold it. Even if the king goes d5 and c5 and I play b6, ab6 and a6, the king is just going to be able to catch it like Pac-Man, my A-pawn. So that's chess. So my opponent, though, played here, king e5. Well, I think that any computer would say, now, blunder. Now, did I play a blunder here now? Oh, no. I think I played a blunder here. Oh, yes, I didn't. Because the king is now outside of the square, and it's my move. And my move creates a response. So as soon as I play b6, my pawn is, the king is outside the square, and black has to do something about this pawn. So if they play a6, okay, then we just play b6 to b7, and the king cannot catch it, can it? But I thought this is even not too good for white even. So here we have just the wee trick of king e5, blunder. I think that black has a won game if black wasn't too worried about my e5 pawn. This has cost black time and also staying in the box by taking this pawn. But it is 5 minutes. But my opponent had more time than me. I played b6, now a b6, and not now a b6. That is a blunder, and if you do that in a puzzle, you will probably lose. The puzzle would say, even if we've just got this position as a chess puzzle, the puzzle would say that the correct move here, or the computer move, even though, yes, I'll reiterate, I have a lost position before. Instead of king e5, black wins. I have a6, and here is where my opponent resigned. So I hope you like the technique of my endgame play, which isn't exact, is it? It's rather not exact. It's very inexact and all that sort of thing, like my English. But I thank you very much for watching this. I think is the 5th type of late where I bring you my endgames, the ones that I consider are interesting for you to see. Bye for now.